basically what I'm teaching in there is I'm helping deconstruct the unethical ways of selling. And I mentioned all those things, right? The deception, the manipulation, the harassing, interrogating, all that shit. I'm trying to get away from that and change the industry and what's being taught these days. And I'm going to show companies how to actually make an ethical impact in showing your customers that you care. That way, when you grow your business, you can feel good about it. Your customers are going to feel good about it. Yeah. And that's really what I'm trying to get back to.
Hey guys, welcome to the Beltran podcast. And every week we have some very, very interesting, and we have a very eclectic mix of guests. And we have a lot of fun with this, and there's lots of amazing stories. Today, guys, I have somebody I met a while back, and I've kind of just crossed paths a few times. And I use these episodes to get to know somebody, and I cannot wait to get to know from what I see. And you tell me if I'm correct. Business mentor. I mean, I'm going to use the word coach just because you give a lot of great value in what you put out. Today we have Mr. Ben John.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And I like the way you put that, coach, and you said mentor, I believe. So I like that you kind of put that together and made that connection with that. And I shared with you before we hopped on here, I don't really vibe with the word coach, but in its essence, I definitely, I love impacting people. Let's put it that way. Call it what you want, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of why I made sure I said, from what I see, and it's funny to me, like the more and more I kind of learned about you, what I don't see is how you went down this path. So I know you have started a few businesses. Let's go back to when you first said, you know what? I want to open my own business and be my own boss.
Oh, man.
I want to hear about that.
Yeah, I mean, okay. And I love that question because I mentioned it on the last podcast I did with Matt Cox. And he asked that question. I was like, man, nobody asked me that question enough.
Really? Okay.
Ironically, nobody really asked like the origin story or
how
did you?
We a lot of times we go back into childhood on here.
Oh, okay. I love that, man.
Like thinking, I think, your life has clues.
Right.
And a lot of times you don't notice the clues until you're down the road and you look back and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's why. Like I used to get the big bags of blow pops. Right?
Right.
And
with
then
the gum in the middle.
Yeah, with the gum in the middle.
Yeah.
And you could sell them for 25 cents each and make really good money.
Right.
Oh,
man, you're going back.
Yes. And that didn't mean anything to me back then. I was just like, hey, well, this makes sense. I used to knock on doors with my lawnmower and, want to cut people's grass. I'm like, well, the grass needs to be cut. I have a lawnmower. I have time. I want to buy candy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so, it's now looking back then, it was just like, hey, that was normal. But looking back, so those are clues to me now, like why I work the way I do. I see a need, like, wow, how can I turn this into a business? And let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
So looking back, do you recognize any clues from way back?
Yeah, as far as clues that indicated I was going to be an entrepreneur, not really. No, that was something that came after working 12 years, actually technically 10 years for one company as a carpenter. I was a specialty trade carpenter where I built glass glazed sunrooms and a lot of outdoor living improvements like, decks and power screens and tract awnings and patio covers and handrails and like high end stuff like, tricked out type design stuff. So I did that for 10 years and that's pretty much where it started, man. I just remember a vivid moment where there's a lot of these moments, but for some reason, this one moment where I was, sitting next to the guy I used to work side by side with for 9 years. He's about 65 years old. I was 30, 31 maybe. He just looked miserable, dude. He just looked like he was just unfulfilled, and like he was just that negative guy all the time. One of those, there's a lot of
Oh
those in the
yeah.
construction industry.
I mean, you get your soul sucked out,
Yeah.
sometimes with some jobs.
Yeah, and I just noticed that day, man, he was just not happy, and something hit me when I was looking at him. We were just sitting there eating lunch. In the Pacific Northwest, it rains a lot, so we eat our lunch in the truck.
Yeah.
And it just hit me. I was like, "Dang, man, is that really gonna be me when I'm 65? Am I really gonna do this for another 30 years, just beating my body to death?" And
Wow.
something really sparked in me that day, and within months after that is kind of when I went into my first entrepreneurial journey that didn't end up working out, ironically, but it was a hell of a learning experience.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the path. Usually, you got to get knocked down a couple times. You got to learn, man.
Yeah,
So,
I definitely did.
was this guy the owner of the company?
No, he was just a part.
Oh
So I had
yeah.
actually worked a year for the company before he came on.
Okay.
So I guess I had seniority, but he
Yeah.
was already 30 years in the industry, a lot more experience. So I learned a lot from him. And it was actually, that dynamic was interesting because he was a real negative dude,
Yeah,
very
man.
condescending, but he's super sharp and he had a lot of skills and stuff. And so I had to figure out a way to cope with that. Like, all right, it was like good cop, bad cop. I was always the guy that the homeowners wanted to talk to, right?
Oh
So,
yeah.
and working in that environment, I had to figure out how to kind of disregard that negative energy and still pull out skills from him and learn from him. So,
Yeah,
which I did.
strategy. I mean, that alone just shows that, hey, you understand. Some people will get that negativity and just be like, I want to fight all the
Take it
time,
personal, yeah.
and not realize that, hey, everybody's a little different.
Yeah.
Everybody has something to offer. And let's get strategic here and bring the best out.
Yeah. Yeah, I realized it was something, internal. It was something he had going on. I didn't take it
Yeah.
personal. It was just
Smart.
something, and obviously I'm a human being, so some days it got to me, but for the most part it was something I just kind of looked over, and I was there to learn
Yeah.
and build and develop, and that's what I did. But
So what was your first go? I'm curious.
on the entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Oh man, so within that 10 years I built a sunroom for this one lady who ended up becoming a friend, and I did side work for her for about 8 years. So it was early, within the first 2 or 3 years when I was in that industry is when I did this room for her. And she just became a friend and also became a source for side work, extra money here and there. And she's always said, hey, I'm gonna use you for something. We're gonna go into business with something. I don't know what it is. And after I had that moment in the truck where I was realizing like, shit, that's not something I want to do for another 30 years. That's when I kind of started talking to her about it a little bit more, and the light bulb went off with her. She was a mentor essentially to me. She had everything a person could want: the multi-million-dollar house on the lake, the sunroom, her own personal gym, yachts, jet skis. She was a lesbian, so she had a beautiful wife.
Yeah.
And she just had a lot. And so I looked up to that, actually. And so when she said she wanted to go in a partnership with me, I was like, yeah, let's do this. She was in real estate.
Oh, nice.
She had her own apartment complex. So I was like, thinking whatever she's done, obviously she's done it well. I'm going to pay attention to her and learn from her. So yes, I will go into partnership. So we started looking into businesses, going to seminars and stuff, like trying to figure out what we're going to do. Anything from gemology, Subway franchise,
Oh wow.
real estate. Yeah, we were just looking at so much, trying to figure it out. Ultimately, it was kind of her idea, but she decided that the smart thing to do was to go into a black market marijuana distribution.
Okay. Black market.
Black market.
Okay, so underground, like you can go to
Underground,
jail.
illegal. Yeah, yeah. In 2015, this was still legal. It was just about to be legal in Washington State. And for some reason, the taxes scared her away. She's like, we're not paying that much tax. We're just gonna peddle it.
Wow.
And so I ended
Oh
up.
my god.
Fast forward, we bought a property for about $400,000 that had a RV storage building in the backyard, and it was just a back and a top, and these huge for RVs, these huge open spaces, right? And so the next 9 months I spent building out practically by myself that entire operation, closed it, coordinated an 800 amp sub panel of electricity into it, and ended up building a 36 light grow operation, and started getting to work, dude. I didn't know anything about pedaling, selling, growing. Like I
Oh my
installed a lot of
God.
the HVAC. I installed all the 2-inch pipe of natural gas. I YouTubed all this.
Yeah, I believe it.
I
YouTube
got a
University.
backhoe. I didn't know how to run a backhoe, and I digged a 3-foot wide by 3-foot deep trench for the electrical lines.
That
I
is
did it all, dude.
great. So, like, who was your consumer? Did you just like sit on the side of the road, or just like call your
Craigslist.
friends?
Craigslist, man.
Are you kidding?
No, and so that's where it started.
intense.
Yeah, it was intense. That's where all the horror stories came in. You know, I got robbed.
Did you
I
say
got shot.
horror or horror story? Both.
I was working so much, there was definitely no horrors involved, man. You can imagine 300 plants trying to manage just
Oh my
myself.
God,
It
this
was
is
a
crazy.
nightmare.
I
Dude.
love it.
I was working my ass off. I was so deprived of sleep. Watering, feeding. I had no idea what I got into, man. I was just like, what am I doing? So yeah,
Wow.
I hit the streets. Craigslist was it. You know, I got shot at. I got robbed. It was,
Oh,
and then
no.
and once I got tired of that, I started mailing 10 pounds at a time across the states and in the post office. It's funny to talk about now. It's like a whole nother life, dude. Like
Oh, yeah.
people hear me talk about that and they're like, are you fucking serious?
Oh yeah.
It was,
Well, one day I'll put my stuff out there, but I'm not ready for that yet. But yeah, it's you know.
Yeah.
But What was the biggest lesson you learned from doing this?
I love that question, man. That the biggest lesson, which I talk about, but I've never been asked that. The biggest lesson I learned that I was chasing money. The fact that I was chasing money got me into all these problems. I also wrecked my truck because I was running on like 3 hours of sleep. Went and played a show in Seattle with my band, and I was running on 3 hours of sleep because I was managing a grow operation
Yeah.
into the wee hours of the night. Like you can't skip a beat on taking care of plants. If you miss a feeding or something, literally overnight, they're all dead.
Really?
And thousands of dollars is gone to waste. And
Oh
yeah,
my
so it's
God.
that labor intensive as far as attention to they're plants. They need care.
Yeah.
And you're controlling an environment, which is something I learned how to do. But yeah, it just what I learned though, Al, to answer your question is that a lot of that was because I was chasing money, man. And if you are chasing money or living your life just for money, you definitely are going to go into a dark place. You're going to become a person that you never thought you'd be.
Wow, man, that's strong. That's strong, and it does make sense.
Yeah,
You know, you've seen it, man. If you can't like fulfill your heart and fill yourself with joy, I mean, for what good is it? You know what I mean? You can
exactly.
make all the money, buy all the stuff you want, but
Yeah, and I seen her, she, like I said, she was a mentor. She had it all, but she was really hurting inside, man. I didn't really know this until I started getting in partnership with her.
yeah.
But she was very disrespectful to my daughter. My daughter was 5 at the time,
Oh,
and
no.
she hated kids. And she would literally refer to my daughter as it.
Are
I'm
you
like,
kidding?
no, I pissed me off too. One time I called her out. It's funny. I had to talk about it in one of the books I wrote, or about that experience with her, and it really upset me, man. When she started doing that, I was like, hey, don't be talking to my daughter like that. Like you were a little girl once yourself.
Yeah.
Like think about how you felt at 5 years old. Like would you want somebody to disregard you and treat you like that?
So let me ask you, do you think the fact that she had money and she had all these things that you thought, were signs of success made you kind of look past some of her attitude and how you said she was disrespectful?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because obviously it's not like she just 180'd once I got into partnership with
That's
her.
what I'm saying.
I got a taste of that. There were red flags, but I was chasing the money.
Yep.
When you are focused on money, you will ignore red flags. You will make sense
God,
of things, and you're
man.
like, oh, justify. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe this is the kind of attitude you should have to get success. You really kind of
Man, I
deceive
have
yourself.
been there so many
Right?
times, man. And this is beautiful, man. This is what a great lesson this is
Right?
for people, just getting started and something that seems so great. But, the guy is, he's kind of a dick. He cheats on his wife.
Right.
You look at
That's
these
terrible.
things, but really, I mean, those are signs. And I mean, you guys, anybody out here listening, you can say, oh, that doesn't tell you what kind of businessman you are. I think it does.
Absolutely.
You look at the kind of man they are at the core and how they treat their friends and how they treat their lady and how they treat their family. I mean, that goes to show what they have in them, and they could do that to you in business.
Absolutely. And I talk a lot about this stuff because, like, growing business ethically requires you to just do the bare simple stuff, and that's care for people, literally. Same thing. All the stuff I learned literally just was a good learning lesson for me going into business when I actually did build my business that's successful.
Yeah.
It really is important to care for people, and that's something I think you notice that I talk about quite a bit. Is it's been lost. There's a lot of relationships that are deceived on, or conceived on deception rather, and it's because they want something, they want money, they want an outcome. And it's like, just get back to caring for people. Get your money, get your mind off the money, and just care for somebody and establish a relationship. All that shit's gonna come to you if you treat people right.
Oh, I love that, man.
Yeah.
And so you understood the value of, obviously it wasn't the right person, but it's power of proximity. You were next to her. You saw, hey, she has some of the things I think I might like. It pays to be around. Now, obviously, you were blinded a little bit, but you understood, hey, you be around the people, you get these opportunities. You know?
That is true to a sense. That's a dangerous term, though, I realize.
I want to hear it. Yes. And kind of where I was going with it, at what point in your life did you say, hey, I want to start to pay to be around these people?
Yeah, that's a good. Okay, so that comes later, right? So after the whole marijuana escapade, that was 2 years before I decided, like, fuck this.
Yeah.
This is not a life I want to live. I've jeopardized my freedom, my life several times, time with my daughter. Like, it really put things into perspective. And so walked away from that, and I'm sitting there at the table, scratching my head, living with my brother-in-law in his bedroom with my daughter. Pretty much started all the way over, not knowing what I was going to do. And I was like, man, am I really going to go crawling back to my old employer and just get back to being in carpentry again? And my nephew said, you should start your own business. And when he said that, the light bulb went off. And I was like, of course. And I literally just took it so serious that night, drew a logo, because I've been doing art since I was a kid. So I like doing stuff like that. Drew my logo. It's the same logo we have 6 years today.
Oh, wow.
And made it real, man. Like, and I created my business off of what I just explained. Caring for people, donating time, getting real personable on camera. Like, people know me as a person, not just a company that provides a service and a product. They feel like they know me when I step up and do a bid and a quote. They're like, I've seen you. You cut your hair. Your daughter, she looks so grown now. Like, they feel like they know me.
Yeah.
So that's how I built that business from there.
So it's like personal brand. This is, I saw this the other day. You have branding and you have marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing is, hey, this is what I do. Buy this from me. Hey, this is what I do. Buy this from me. Branding is the reason why they're going to say yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Brand message, who you are, all that stuff's important. That stuff I teach too. Is like, how do you treat your employees? Let people know that. What do you value? Do you have some opinions? Obviously, you're not going to start talking about things like abortion and stuff like that, but what are your opinions? Like, let people know who you are. And so, man, you're right. Branding is more personable, and marketing and sales is just like, this is what I provide. This is what I do. We're the best. And, all those type sayings.
Yeah. A lot of people think they're one and the same. I'm marketing myself. You're letting people know what you do. But when it comes to your personal brand, you let them know who you are, not what you are.
And that goes further. There's more of an impact in branding, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
It's long-term. Marketing and sales is obviously ad focused. And so it's just like, it's good for when someone's looking for that product, but I still get calls right now on bids I've done myself 2 years ago where like, hey, you came and did a bid for me. We're ready to move forward now.
Oh,
or
wow.
I've been following you for a year now and we're finally ready to move forward. That's that long-term impact right there. And I think branding is way more important.
It's how you made them feel at that moment.
Exactly.
And continued.
And it's top of mind too. That's real top of mind awareness right there. It's just like, I remember this. I've had people literally call me. I was walking through a sunroom project we did in Seattle, and it was during COVID. So I was probably the only construction business doing anything at that time. And I got so much heat too. People were saying, you guys are the reason the pandemic's still going and all this stuff. Like,
I believe it.
Yeah. So I didn't care. I'm doing like a 20-minute walkthrough video, but someone said they seen that. I went and did a bid at his house, and he was like, yeah, I seen that video you did, on that sunroom. He's like, I immediately knew I was going to do business with you, man. And so they were telling me, they were giving me the reciprocation and letting me know what's working. Like the market will tell you, the people will let you know what's working and what you should be doing.
Yeah, very cool, man. So,
But I didn't answer your question.
well, if we're not there yet, I want you to tell me when you're there, though.
I think we're there now, actually.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say was, during the pandemic, I was probably a year plus in on that business. And that's when I got introduced to self-development, mentorship, the investment part you asked me. When did I decide to start paying to get in proximity? When did I start buying into that saying that, your network is your net worth, proximity is power, which is kind of not true, I think. And I'll explain that to you because I've lived it now.
Yes. I've been watching this story unfold.
Yeah, now you're getting the origin story, which I really like, because it is important. It's not the origin story that I'm explaining is very relative because it's mentorship, right? The lady she was my mentor. I talk about how, bad mentorship will get you into some problems, man. Good mentorship, if you're not looking for it, in my opinion, the right mentor will come into your life. And
what's that old Chinese proverb?
Is that
there is one, and I can't think of it right now.
Something like that, though.
Something about when if you're the right student, the right mentor, the right teacher will appear. I'll have to look at that. I'm gonna look it up and probably when we edit it, put it up there because there is a proverb about that.
Nice. There's truth to that. And now I realized it because my life has proven to unfold like that. But during that COVID time was kind of when, everybody had uncertainty, dude. The whole economy was in retreat, not knowing what was going on with their business. And I was no different. Even though I was expanding in a contracting economy, I still had just a little bit of doubt, right? And that's all it takes for someone that is actually like preying on that or, coming to take advantage of that. They thrive on those moments in people. And if you just have a little bit of that, it's easy to get brainwashed and sucked into a whole world like that as well, which is a whole nother chapter of my life now. But here I am, thinking I'm doing well. And then I got introduced to a book. Is it okay to name drop people?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
So I get,
if I don't know it, I'm going to cut it out so I can learn. No, man. We've never cut out not one line from over 40 episodes filmed.
All right, love that. Well, I have to ask because I have to respect people. I don't care calling people out. It's important for the story. But I got introduced to a book called The 10X Rule.
Oh, I know
written
that
by
one.
Grant Cardone.
I don't have to write that one down. I got it.
Great book. Great message, right? In its essence. But when now that I read it and I think about some of the sayings in there, it really kind of framed my mind to chase Grant for the answers to that he's got the success. So I need to get in proximity with him. And it started just planting seeds. I'm hearing him saying, yeah, you're operating at low levels. I'm like thinking to myself, I am. Yeah, you're not doing enough. I'm not. Like he's literally seed planting, almost like NLP, if you will. I didn't realize what was going on at the time. Now I can look back. I feel like Neo in the Matrix. Now I can literally see what happened.
You think that whole book was just a sales book to say, hey, pay me money?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. It got me in the room. And so here I am getting involved in the first grant or the 10X Growth Con, which for people who are listening don't know what that is. It's a big annual event he does where he's got thousands of people there and he brings a bunch of celebrities up there and talks.
Oh, yeah.
And shares about their success story. So I went to that, and that's when I really got hooked. I'd already been getting kind of conditioned on Grant's material, listening to his stuff, really getting in my mind. I connected with him because he told me, he tells the story in that book about his dad passing away when he was 10. Well, my dad left when I was 3, although I didn't lose him. I kind of did. I've never seen him since I was 3, so in my mind, he's dead too. And so I connected with that, right? So he kind of hooked me with that emotional story as well. And, I was kind of, I guess, I liked the feel of like the mentorship. Like, okay, this guy seems successful. He says he's successful, which is self-proclaimed. He's all over the place. So it appears like he's doing the right things, right? So I'm like, okay, let's get in proximity. Like he said, maybe he's onto something. Well, I go to that event, and I must have spent, $25,000 on one program, another $5 on the other program, and then obviously the tickets to get in the room, which was $5, I think, at the time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think I was 30 plus K just on that first trip. And then what they pitched at that conference was, at that time, it was called Grant Cardone Licensee, which is now called 10X Business Coach, where you can get in partnership with Grant essentially as a franchisee type setup, where you get certified, kind of like the John Maxwell certification, all these other people. Yeah.
And then what, do you sell his course?
Yeah, you could sell
for a
his
percentage?
courses. Yeah, Cardone University. You could
Okay.
sell the event tickets. You get a percentage. It was all presented that it was like a 90-10 split. Come to find out, it was only on select things that was a 90-10 split. But yes, that's what happened. But the way it was also presented is like you're using that to elevate your existing business. So it's not like they're really promoted to like jump in here and just push my agenda all.
Yeah.
Like just become Grant or become 10X, which I kind of did. Like 10X was injected into everything in my business, and I had all my employees training.
Did you take a lot of that stuff down? Or is it still out there?
Oh my God, it's funny you said that. There's still some stuff lingering. Like for instance, my LinkedIn account, I can't seem to retrieve access because I created it on the Grant Cardone email that they give you.
Oh, wow.
I had that for 3 years. So, dude, I was so engrossed in it. Everybody, when you see my face, all you see is Grant, all you see is 10X. That's how much I embodied Grant's message. My truck was branded with 10X stuff. I was in it, dude. I had 50 copies of the 10X rulebook, giving it to people. So it really got in my head, man. And I was really on board with his message. I thought he was doing a positive thing, and he's got positive things he does say, but it kind of changed, without kind of getting too far ahead. It kind of changed on me once I started giving him thousands of dollars. It was like the lack of customer service was never there. The care.
So the lack wasn't there, or the actual customer service?
Excuse me, there was a lack of customer care. Thanks for elaborating. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I just want to make sure. Man,
No,
I'm in this story, bro.
Yeah, there was no customer service, dude.
Uh-huh.
It was like a 180 switch. It felt like literally once they get your money, they just kind of forget about you.
They think, oh, we got him, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, and it's crazy. But then they're also upselling you to the next thing. It's nonstop with that.
Yeah.
The next thing, oh, you should buy this.
I've heard stories. So a buddy of mine, they were at one of his last conferences, and they said it was one of the most aggressive sales. They were in the bathroom, using the bathroom, and they have team members in there.
Yep.
Hey, scan this code. Let's get your info. Sign up now. In the bathroom, following people
I've
around.
seen that.
I mean, that's pretty intense. Sales is one thing, I do appreciate persistency and all those things in sales, but once again, I haven't been there to see. This is just what I've heard.
Yeah.
And they say it's pretty gross.
Well, I have been there. I've been in many events. I've done a 10X 360 or 10X business boot camp 3-day event for Grant, for business owners in Philadelphia. So that's another thing you can do when you're a 10X business coach. You can put together your own event just like him, but you got to follow his curriculum.
And pay his cut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just like that. You're getting sold while you're eating lunch. You'll be literally eating lunch, and they'll just come up and kind of crouch down. Hey, bro, how's it going? I'm like, good, bro. I'm trying to eat my lunch. What's up? He's like, bro, hey, you signed up for this yet? I'm like, oh my God, here we go, dude. It's literally those type of vibes. And then it gets worse. I'm starting to realize now this is all thought out. The whole 3-day event type, grinding your ass, brainwashing you, and then giving you free alcohol at the end of this, and then going hard with the sales.
Oh, wow.
It's a whole thing. And I noticed that approach every single event I've went to. I've taken every single event you can think of that he's done other than the real estate summit, which because I'm not in real estate.
I actually have his real estate investing course.
Really?
I still have the link on I haven't looked at it in about a year. I should probably get back into it, but I have spent money with him, and I know a lot of
most people have,
yeah. Oh yeah.
But that's kind of what happened, man. That first event, I invested so much money into him, and I was off to the races. Now I was like, I'm invested, so now I got to try to get some of that ROI back, because that's what was pitched. Is like, hey, you're going to get your money back. The whole thing is that it's third-party validation, right? That whole proximity thing. You're a business partner with Grant. That screams validation, third-party validation. Man, it did the opposite for me.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like, people didn't want to get on the phone with me because they knew I was in partnership with Grant. My business did worse. Did I make money? Sure. Did I hit the multiple $1 million in revenue? Yes. But I was going to do that anyway. And the way in which I did it, I can see now was unethical because of the ways that he taught me to do it. Manipulating, deceiving, harassing, interrogating, bullying. That's his sales approach, man, like many other people that I call out. And it's completely unethical, dude, and it doesn't feel good.
So, like, at what point did this become apparent? Like, you're in it, you're all in. Like, was there a moment when you stood back and like, what am I doing? How did that happen, dude? Because you can't be all in and then hate. I don't want to say the word hating because, I mean, this is valid.
Yeah.
You can't be all in and then completely turn without something happening.
Yeah, and we'll get to that hate comment too because I want to make it very apparent my approach on this. I hate when people think I hate. But the question you're asking, it has been asked several times, and a lot of people would think that like, oh, okay, what was the final straw? There was nothing that happened in the organization that was a final straw to me. Something completely separate, which again, you could kind of tell me how far you want to go into this part, but it really is spirituality based. I don't know what was happening to me, man. My life changed in September about 6 months ago.
Okay.
And I had these spiritual moments happen to me. I've never had anything like this happen in my entire 40 years of living. It was just one thing after another. Unexplainable things, dude, that I was just like, are you kidding me?
I want to hear. I'm into this big time.
Dude. And there was one moment amongst all these moments where I was literally like, it felt like someone was telling me to sit down and pay attention to all the red flags you ignored over the last 3+ years. Because that's how long I spent with Grant, over 3 years.
Wow.
Like, pay attention to all the red flags. And it was like that moment people explain when your life flashes before your eyes. It was every single time, every single moment that I thought was wrong, felt wrong. I was wondering about. I was like, did anybody else see that or hear that? All of it right in front of me at once, just like lightning, man. I was just like, oh my God. And it just hit me in that moment. I was in my house on my bed. It was like,
really?
I was like being told to sit down on my bed and pay attention. And that's when I made that decision.
Any psychedelics involved?
No.
Because I've heard that.
So now that I've had this experience, people take psychedelics to get to that space.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Now I realize this. Yeah. And my girlfriend was telling me this, because when, she knew I was brainwashed the whole time. And ironically, she was in a cult years ago. And so she kind of seen the similarities.
Oh,
and
wow.
she was like, oh my God, my boyfriend's in a cult. So she was, bless her heart, she was a trooper, dude, sticking it out, waiting until I came through the storm. Yeah, she pretty much guided me, or kind of helped guide me through that process. But
I want to hear about one of these instances.
Yeah?
Please. Yes.
I'll tell you a story that'll blow your mind. It's cool because then I could chop it and share it with him. So before this happened, I did a YouTube podcast with an individual I met online. He's in London. His name's James Lambert. I'll shout him out. Super good dude. Something stuck out to me on one of his posts where he was talking. He's uplifting people. He just seemed like he had really good energy and he had a good heart. And so we established a relationship. Well, I did a podcast with him, and then we kind of disconnected. His story is he's a old bare knuckle boxer fighter, where he was like, fighting, I think illegal type stuff. He was saying like people die in these rings type stuff.
Underground stuff.
Yeah.
Fight Club.
Maybe for gangsters type involvement. I think, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but from what I remember him explaining to me, it was pretty shady stuff. He had a spiritual moment that awakened him and enlightened him and pulled him away from that atmosphere, which he was in for a long time. So anyways, really good dude, really good hearted dude. And he noticed a change in me after I had this moment with me and I started separating from Grant in the community. He reaches out to me and he's like, hey man, what's going on? Like, I noticed there's a huge change in your content and everything. And so I explained to him what was going on. I was like, bro, I've had some moments, like my life has changed. Like, this is happening, this happened, this happened. He's like, oh, okay, cool, man. I'm super excited about that. And about a week goes by, and he calls me. He's like, "Hey, man, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I felt the need to call you." He's like, "I had this dream, if you will, this vision where I'm like over there. I'm training you," because that's what he does. He trains people to spar, and he publicly speaks. And he was saying, I'm having this vision where I'm training you. We're hitting the gloves. We're on the beach. He's like, I'm like your bodyguard. He's like saying all the spirits. It's like, I have no idea why I'm saying this, dude.
Yeah.
And so I'm laughing. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty funny. Bodyguard. Okay, I don't know what that's about, but all right, I dig it, man. And then a week goes by, and I had the same vision. It was crazy. I had the same dream, and it was
wow.
it was almost like, I don't know. He had like wings, and he was like standing behind me, like almost like protecting me. It felt like. And at this point, I had a lot of heat from things. I had cops banging at my door, threatening to break it down. Just crazy shit going on because I'm getting loud about the truth now. And I called him and told him, I was like, "Hey, man, I had the same vision, dude." I was like, "I don't know what's going on. This is crazy." And I was like, "We should probably try to like make this happen or whatever." And now he has doubt in his voice. I hear he's like, "Yeah, man, I don't know why I was telling you that. Like, I don't know what came over me, dude." He's like, "Really, bodyguard? I don't know why I even said that, dude." And so I hear him. He's got the doubt in his voice, and something told me to tell him, "All right, check this out. You wake up with a blank piece of paper and a pen. I'll do the same thing. Whatever you remember dreaming, write it down on paper." The next morning comes around. I wake up, and I'm literally scrambling to get my thoughts on paper, and like everything was fighting me. My light on my phone wasn't working. I dropped my pen. It flies like 10 feet across the room. I have to get up and go get it. Literally, it felt like something was stopping me big time. Get it on the paper, text it, and send it to him. And he gets back to me about 3 hours later, and he's like, "Man, I had the same vision." This is like 3 weeks now after the first vision. He hasn't had it since then. He's like, "I had the same vision, dude." He's like, "This time it was more vivid. Like I can literally smell the air, feel the sand. It felt so real." And he's like, "I guess the next thing to figure out is like, when am I catching a flight over there?" So fast forward, like a few weeks later, we make that happen. He comes over. We literally spend a week together and come up with like a business plan for a retreat. And then we pick a day to go to the beach, which is the vision we had. Go to the beach. This is crazy to talk about, man. It's like,
I love it.
Actually, we go to the beach. We spent all day there. We were there from sunrise. I'm getting drone photography. I buy my first pair of boxing gloves, and he's showing me, how to throw the hands and hit the gloves. It was super cool, dude. I was there with my daughter. We're having a great time. We're in the same spot the entire time, beach to ourselves, wide open. At one point in the day, it was like in the afternoon, a red pallet floated up on the shore. It was like bright red, looked like it had just been painted, and it was so eye-catching. I was like, "What? Where did this come from?" And I don't know, just floated up on shore. And so it just fascinated me. I went over there, looked at it. I seen the brand, the company name on it, was taking pictures of it, and I was like, and looking at it, and just something felt in connection with that palette. There was some kind of like, it felt like a sign, I guess, if you will. And again, some people who are like, think this is tight, this is like woo woo, whatever, dude. I'm just sharing my story and experience. You can think whatever you want. This happened. And so it had a word on there that said inalienable, and I've never heard of this word ever before. Come to find out, after we left, that pallet came from London also. Somehow or another, the company that was on the pallet was from where he's from, the UK, overseas, and landed right there at the exact moment that he was in the United States for the very first time in his life, and he's like 45, at the exact moment. And then the word meant something like energy can't be created nor given or taken or something like that in a spiritual sense. So it just blew my mind. That's just one story, and I probably have like 20 of those, dude.
So, I mean, I'm a big believer in the connection between everything. And really, sometimes what it takes is awareness to see these things. I think this stuff is all over the place, and it happens. But I think, certain people hit a certain time in their life, with lessons and learning. And who knows, sometimes things just happen to where you come into that awareness.
Yeah.
Like more and more every day I go into not saying I'm looking for the connection between everything, but the more aware you are, the more you could put these together. The dots are out there.
Yeah.
They're out there. And sometimes you have those moments where you can actually put them together.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like it, man. So trust me, man, woo, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
That's
you know?
my life now, man. And it's funny you say that. The way I like to put it is there are signs everywhere, but
Yes.
not if you're looking for them.
Mhm.
Because, right, you got those, you know what I'm
You
saying?
can't look for them. You have to be aware
Yes.
to see it.
Yeah. And now I understand that because there's those people we all know that it's like, oh, yeah, you see that right there?
Yeah.
There's a butterfly. That means this. Like, hey, you see that right there? Yeah, that's because this is going. They're all,
Yeah.
you know, you got those people that are trying to always connect. I'm like, bro, let it go. The signs will be placed in front of you and it'll be undeniable. Another crazy thing that happened to me was the day before I had all of this happen to me. There was a white lizard. I don't know how many white lizards you've seen in your life, in
Never.
real life. Exactly. It was so bright. It was a white lizard. It was in my garage. They exist too. I Googled it. It was a white gecko, I think. It looked like
Okay.
it was smiling.
Oh, wow.
It was walking very slow. There was something so distinct about this. It tripped me out, dude. So it was just like walking away from me, but turning around and looking at me. And of course, I'll have to show you a picture when we get off here. But it was a white gecko, I think, because it looks like they're smiling.
Wow.
And so I went in to get my phone and take a picture of it. Literally in less than a minute, come in and it was gone. I'm moving crates, stuff around trying to find them. Like, where? There's no way it's not here. Like, it was here. And I looked it up, and you know, now that I believe in that stuff. It means that when you see a white lizard, apparently it means that you're about to have a spiritual transformation. And oh my God, that's exactly what I had.
Wow, dude. Yes, man.
The day before, man.
And so is that like ancient, like Indian text, or is it Buddhist, or like what, you know, where did that saying come? Because I know there's a lot of different.
I just Googled it.
Connect. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know where the source came from. So again, I'm just being guided to the right stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's probably a ton of different sayings
Uh-huh.
for a white lizard, but the one I was meant to see was placed in front of me at the right time.
Wow.
And to that topic, what a lot of things I like to tell people is like the first compelling feeling that I got that really brought me into this crazy cool space, man, was a feeling to let go. This is something I talk about out of all, even in business conversations. For some reason, it always comes back to this one thing. It was the letting go that people struggle with. I realize when I say I let go, man, like, I didn't leave anything on the table. I let go of wanting to be right or wrong. I let go of wanting answers. I let go of wanting to understand. I let go of wanting money. I let go of wanting to be successful. I let go of fear, doubt, and uncertainty. I let it fucking all go, dude. And that's when my life changed. I started getting more feelings like that, like the one to sit down and pay attention to the red flags. It was like I became hyper aware and just tapped into such a high frequency of awareness, man.
Yeah.
And
dude.
letting go was the first thing, man.
Oh, that's all. Yeah, I guess you have to. You know, you can't think about two things at once.
Yeah.
You can't be trying something and notice something at the same time.
Right.
So I guess that it makes sense. You know, if you let go, then you're able to be aware.
Yeah.
You know?
And then I talked about it on a couple podcasts. If you watched the Matt Cox one, I talked about how when I did let go, all the stuff I was chasing for those 3 years while with Grant literally fell in my lap in a couple weeks. That is quite remarkable, dude.
Wow.
Just like lots of connections, opportunities, money I've been waiting on, all these things that I've been trying to obtain or make happen in years, all happened in a couple weeks.
Wow.
I was blown away, man. I was just like, how is this happening?
Wow, man. So when it comes to the organization, how do you disconnect? Like, or did you have like reoccurring fees that you're paying monthly, or did you have to like cancel any contracts, or you just like, hey, I'm out?
I don't even know, man. Like, I sent them a nice professional letter saying, hey, I'm no longer in alignment with this, or Grant's message, cancel my email, take my Cardone University accounts. I think I had like 11 or 12 Cardone University accounts at that time. I don't want access to any of this stuff. I'm going to go ahead and go my own way. And then I also asked Grant to do an Instagram live with me or have a conversation with me and help explain to me why he thought it was okay to teach people the way he does and why it's okay to treat people the way he does. And that's when all the inconsistencies started really showing himself. Like he started blocking me.
Oh, wow.
For someone who says, don't be a little bitch. I love me some haters. All these sayings that Grant has,
Yeah.
very inconsistent with blocking somebody, especially someone who's spent, almost $250,000 with him. At the very least, you would think like, hey, that's the least you could do for me is have a conversation with me. What's that going to hurt?
Yeah.
Isn't that
Man.
crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. It goes to show, man. It goes to show that a lot of it's show with a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know?
It's lost leaders with false confidence
Yeah.
and projecting, and it's all bullshit, smoke and mirrors. None of them practice what they preach. None of them do what they say. It's more of a do as I say, not as I do mentality.
So do you have any other, I guess, once again, we use these words interchangeably, influencers, any other mentors that you do jive with, people that have a positive message that you think work?
Yeah, it's funny because I mentioned Gary Vee on Matt Cox's podcast, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, you're
I like him.
I do too.
I love him. Dude.
And again, maybe there's red flags, but I have not seen any red flags. But out of all the people that are really uplifting, I think he's one of them. I've never heard him once say like invest with me or I have the answers. He does the opposite, which is what I do. It's like you have everything you need inside of you. Like you don't need to go looking for it. Tap into yourself. And I like that message because it's the opposite of what got me into that problem with Grant and other people. Oh, yeah. I like Brad Lee. Brad Lee I invested with. He built out my interactive training system.
So. What's that, Lightspeed?
Yeah, I have that was probably the best investment I made in as a coach was built out a very interactive system, highly engaging interactive system like that.
Okay, so you tell me about that. So now, you went through all of this. So what are you doing today? Like what kind of things are you doing? Is that a training system on helping grow a business or helping run a business or more personal development?
Yeah, so it's both. And yeah, it is a business and sales training system. It's got a live community call that I'm doing weekly on there.
Oh, wow.
For members. And then also I created a live call for free, for people to join for free.
Okay.
And there's some pretty successful people on there.
How do they find it?
They could reach out to me. I got my links all over the place. It's on Instagram. I don't know if it's on my Facebook page, but anybody could reach out to me and I'll give them the link. Cool. Obviously I don't want like anybody on there, but it seems like it's kind of geared more for entrepreneurs, or even if you're not an entrepreneur, at least if you're thinking about starting a business at some point in your life.
Yeah.
But basically what I'm teaching in there is I'm helping deconstruct the unethical ways of selling. And I mentioned all those things, right? The deception, the manipulation, the harassing, interrogating, all that shit. I'm trying to get away from that and change the industry and what's being taught these days. And I'm going to show companies how to actually make an ethical impact in showing your customers that you care. That way, when you grow your business, you can feel good about it. Your customers are going to feel good about it. Yeah. And that's really what I'm trying to get back to, man. There's not enough of that going on. It's more the opposite. It's like these false, misguided approaches. I call them misguided mentors. They are misguided and they're teaching other people to do things unethical. Like there's just sayings that I bought into. Like, for instance, like, hey, if I don't get this person to do business with me, they're going to do business with someone else and have a bad experience. And like, cause I know I'm the best solution. And like, that is just creating an environment where I'm like pushing and pressing, but it's not up to me for me to dictate. Like if they want to make a decision somewhere else, that's on them. They're a human being. I'm just presenting, I'm giving them a good experience. I'm giving them all the information they need. I'm answering all their questions. And I'm essentially leaving them alone. I'll ask them, like, would it be okay? Like, if they say they got to think about it, perfect. Think about it. Like, if there's anything I can help you with in the meantime, reach out to me. Would it be okay if I followed up to see if you need more information? But there's no pressing. There's no.
So you wouldn't go for, like, the now close? Like,
no. Yeah. And I would never, when I rebranded, I had to rewrite my entire landing page for my Lightspeed. I had a lot of that was Grant on there, and I reached out to Brad's team and I was like, hey, I got to change all this, like get all that 10X stuff off there. And by the way, I'm promoting free service. Like every business should do something for free, massively for free. I'm not talking a cheesy ebook. Like
Yeah.
I'm talking make some impact, donate some time and impact their company. And they were just like, we don't have anybody to write that kind of copy. Like, just let us know what you want changed and get back to us. And I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to write my own copy.
AI, baby. No,
Yeah, dude, it was so crazy. Another spiritual moment came, dude, and I pumped out like 2 hours of my own copy that probably would have taken a copywriter a week or two to do, and it was completely in alignment with me, word for word. It just poured right through me.
yeah.
But I took the you could at that time you could just buy my program. You can't do that now. You have to create a relationship with me.
Oh, smart. Very smart.
That's
And
all you can do on my page is just set up an appointment to. You can look at my description of what I'm trying to do, and then you can set an appointment up with me. That's it.
Well, that makes sense. And I mean, it goes along with what you're teaching.
Exactly.
You know, it's not about, hey, buy now, buy now, buy now.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get to know each other. If this works, if you'd like to be a part of it, please do.
Exactly. And that's how the approach should be. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not telling you you need this. I'm not telling you you should do this. I'm telling you what I do, what I can do. It's up for you to discern whether or not this is going to be a good fit or if you're going to benefit from this.
Yeah.
That is the approach that should be done in business these days. Not like you need this now. If you don't, this whole fear-based, fear-mongering stuff, that is so unnecessary. It's outdated and there's too much of it, man.
Yeah. So what kind of clients? You said you have mainly entrepreneurs. You have like people that are just salespeople, or just a mix of everybody.
Yeah, business owners and sales. It's
Yeah.
more business owners and entrepreneurs. People running stuff themselves
Yeah.
is kind of what usually the people I attract and get involved in the training system. But I do like one-on-one mentorship too with people, which is something separate, you know?
Yeah. So let's say somebody come up to you and says, "Hey, man, I'm looking to start a business. What's really hot right now? Like, what if I were to start a business? What's hot? Where can I make money?" Where would you go with that conversation?
Yeah, that's great, man. I would say, well, what do you want to do? Let's get off the money. First of
Yeah.
all, stop thinking about the money.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to do? Is there a message? What kind of impact do you want to make? Let's start with that. I would need to know where their mind is at before that. Because if they come at me and they're like, how do I make a lot of money really quick? That's already a bad start.
Yeah.
Like starting a business being money focused is not the way to start a business, in my opinion.
That's what I was gonna say. That's your opinion. Some other people look at the market. What's the hottest thing? How do I get into it?
Yeah.
And I guess there's not a lot of longevity in that, or what do
I
you
don't
think?
so. I think the lack of care is going to show itself in
Yeah.
that process. Like it's logical, right? Like if I started a business, I said, look, this is going to make me millions. Like the first thing you say is usually the thing you're focused on more. Like if you ask somebody, if I asked you, why are you doing this? And you either said one of two things. You either said, well, I want to make a difference in somebody's life. Then that tells me a lot about you. Or if you said, I want to make millions, then that tells me a lot about you too. Like really where your focus is at is how you're going to end up living your life.
Yeah.
You can't, it's really hard. I'm going to say you can't. It's really hard to ethically care for somebody when you're so focused on money. It's kind of like the prideful thing. I say, like, you can't have self-pride and be grateful at the same time. It's impossible. And I'm not saying you shouldn't acknowledge your accomplishments and be happy that you did all this, but you can't do both. You can't say, I'm proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself. I love me some me. I've done this. I've done that. And then be grateful and say you're grateful at the same time. It is impossible.
Yeah.
That's my opinion again.
Well, I mean, and I kind of could see that. You know, being grateful is appreciating what has got you there. And yes, part of it is within you, but a lot of it is outside of you as well. Is that kind of the vision of it? Because let's look at being grateful.
Yeah.
Can you be grateful for things within?
Yeah. You can be grateful for opportunities. Yeah. I mean,
So
what do you mean by that, though? Let's break that down.
Yeah. I'm trying to, and this is just my brain working right now. So
yeah.
being proud, being proud of things within, like, at what point does being proud of stuff that you've done and being grateful for stuff that you've done, like, where is that line? Because I could see you being proud of yourself is almost being grateful that you had the opportunity to do the things that you did, or
That's gratitude. Yeah.
yeah,
Being grateful you had the opportunity to accomplish whatever it is. That's why I kind of like to call it just acknowledging your accomplishments instead of being like, I'm so proud of
yeah,
myself for doing that. Because I think just it's like a pendulum, right? You got pride and there's a difference between being proud for someone else too. I'm talking about self pride.
yeah,
And so the pendulum of pride and gratitude is what I'm saying. And so I think you need to keep the well, I guess whichever way you want to look at it, the focus needs to be more on the gratitude
yeah.
than
I
the
agree.
prideful part of it.
And I think right now the way we're looking at pride is almost along the lines of ego as well.
100%. That's exactly where I'm going with that.
Yeah,
The pride, self pride will feed your ego, and ego will blind your ass quick.
yeah,
Money, ego, sex. It's like the main three temptations people will take. I could see it going on. That's, ego and money is the ones I took.
yeah.
And it just blinded me to the truth. And so once I let that go, I can literally see how I got sucked into that and why everybody else is doing that too.
Nice, man. So with your message, and I really like it because I kind of jive with it a lot. The same with
Nice.
sales. It's we educate, we guide, and it's up to us how we make somebody feel. And not everybody's going to feel the way you want them to feel. Not everybody's going to understand. And once again, it's back on us. Did we teach them everything? Did we answer all the questions? But once again, it's how they feel about you, and you can't force that.
Yeah.
Like not everybody is for everybody, and you have to understand that that's okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes knowing that going into something, I think that comes across, and it lets down their guard. If they know that you're coming in and saying, hey, this might not work, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
A lot of times that gets you a little bit closer to the end goal.
You're taking the pressure off and making the sales experience enjoyable is something I talk about as well.
Yes.
That needs to be talked about more instead of the high pressure stuff.
Coming in knowing, hey, today we're going to figure this out today.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, there's so much. I mean, I talk about so much on that, man. It's like, hey, well, you came to me for some reason. Like, you obviously wanted to do this or you wouldn't have got a hold of me. That's bullshit, in my opinion. It's like, look, it's okay to just reach out. I need to think about it sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a fact. Like, there's no way. I should have thought about it when I spent, $25,000 on something when I was, probably semi-drunk.
Yeah.
There was a moment I talked about where I spent $40,000 on Brandon Dawson's 10x360 program, which is Grant's business partner.
Yeah.
I was drunk. Like, flat out, dude. That was the end of a 3-day event where they're giving free alcohol away, and that's when the Sharks came, and Brandon Dawson himself sold me that program. And then the day of was, again, another example, without getting into more stories. I had kidney stones the first day I was there, dude. I had to go to the hospital. And by the way, just to tell you I don't know if you've ever had kidney stones or
Never.
not. Oh my
I don't even want to
God.
think about it. I've heard a lot. I know a lot of people that have.
Yeah, and I was dealing with that for 3 hours before I even was like, dude, I gotta go. Like, I can deal with some pain, but this is crazy. So ended up missing that entire day. And when I came back in, ran into Brandon Dawson. I told him, still pumped up on morphine from getting me through that.
Yeah.
I was like, I missed the whole day, dude. And he was just like, yeah, it sucks, man. Kidney stones, that's a bitch. I've had those before. That's all he said.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was still didn't really think about it at the time. I was just kind of still semi jacked up off the drugs, right?
Yeah.
But I thought about it later. I was like, why didn't he just? I mean, that was a $20,000 a day that I didn't even get. Why didn't he say, hey, let's make this up? Tell you what, we'll do this. None of that was even talked about, dude.
Didn't even care.
Didn't even care. And then all the people defending him were like, when I talked about this story, they were like, oh, it was up to you to ask him about it. You didn't even it was up to you. Like, put it on me. I'm like, bro. Me as a business owner, that's not how I treat people. If someone bought something from me and I knew that I noticed they weren't doing whatever, they weren't fulfilling, whatever, they forgot about it, I would reach out and be like, hey, dude, I noticed you paid for this. You haven't got started or whatever. Like, let's get this rolling, bro. Like, how can we make this? It's on me. It's
even if
accountability.
it's like, hey, on the next one, we'll take care of you on the next one. We'll knock this much off the next one. I mean, at the very least, I could see that.
Yeah. So that's kind of another quick example of the type of treatment. I got stories like that for days, dude. And,
yeah.
But yeah, that moment of not knowing yourself is kind of a big part of what I talk about too. Like truly knowing yourself and being able to say, so you got the sales part of it where I teach how to sell ethically. I also talk about and teach how to discern from buying stuff from mentors and coaches and stuff like that, and being able to say no. Because the only reason they're able to do that and manipulate and deceive and press and bully and get sales is because it only works on people that don't know themselves. It only works on people that can't say no.
Wow.
And so there's a whole another side to that people don't talk about much, that I, having been through that, I realize there needs to be some light shed on that. And I want to help people with that. It's like, tell them no. Like,
yeah, if somebody were to ask you, how do I find myself? How do I know myself?
Let go. It's the first thing you do.
Wow.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, that was like the key, letting go. It was like the key to a new life.
And letting go of...
It sounds like a fairy tale when I talk about it.
Hey, it's okay, man.
It's so true though, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell, right? I'm on an elevated level. I'm not fake. This is real. I'm authentic. It's just pouring right through me.
Yeah.
I was not this person 6 months ago. And it was truly just because I was paying attention to my intuition and my conscience to follow through with these feelings I was getting, like letting go, paying attention to red flags and all these things. That's just the tip of the iceberg, man. There's not enough time on this podcast for me to share.
No, I love it, man.
The stuff I've been through.
I love it. I can't believe it's already been an hour, dude. I'm into, and here's the thing, I'm into a lot of this, and in the last couple of years, I have gotten bigger into the personal development, and just surrounding myself around the right people. So I think there's a lot of people in my shoes. And I think it's just where I'm at, the people I've been around, it's a lot of us. So this is a lot of really good information for people to realize, hey, it's like almost a shiny object syndrome. Oh, this guy's rich. Let me listen to him.
Yeah.
You have to look a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And once again, that kind of goes back to, don't look at what they are, dig into who they are and how they do the things.
Yeah.
And when it comes, you see their branding per se, but all you see is like the flashy stuff. You want to live like me? Come on. You want to live like me?
Yeah.
Pay me and you make more. So I guess this is a really, really good.
And it's easy to do that nowadays too.
Of course.
Show that perception of you.
Of course. I mean, rentals, and not saying, listen, and obviously I'm not saying that Grant hasn't done amazing things.
Yeah. He's an inspirational dude.
Yes. But that's definitely not taking that away.
Yeah. And there is some good I got out of it too. Yeah. And I'm not a hater. Like, I think that was something I wanted to make sure I point out. A lot of people try to put me in that box of hating.
Yeah.
I think Grant has a good heart deep down. I think most people do. I just think he's fucking lost. He's a misguided mentor. He's learned the wrong things and you can't even see it. He's taken the temptations. He is blinded. And I've been in the room with him, sitting this close to him several times. I remember the look on his face and the emptiness in his eyes. People think I'm full of shit when I say this. I can clearly remember that look on his face.
Yeah.
I've seen several times. He is lost, man. He's hurting and he's not happy. I promise.
A lot of times that's the drive. That's why these people keep on. I want more. I need more. I need more. When they don't have the inner fulfillment, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the unexplainable stuff, like the moment I just explained, right?
Yeah.
You can't explain that other than the feeling I got and being in proximity with him, ironically.
Well, there lies power as well. Not saying...
Right, I know what you're saying,
and it's not the power of proximity. Once again, I guess it kind of doubles down on that. Not that it's going to give you power. It can, but it also will give you power to learn more about them.
Yeah.
And what's good and what's bad.
Yeah.
So let's kind of put it all in a nutshell, because there's a lot of people, once again, like I was saying earlier, in my shoes that are where I was at 2 years ago, where I'm at today, where I'm going to be at in the next 5 years, but just starting to get into this field to where, hey, I want to learn from people. I want to be around the right people. What kind of advice, in a nutshell, would you say to these people that are getting into this part of their life?
Wow, that's a great question, man. That's a loaded question with a loaded answer.
Yeah, man. Let's let's leave it on this note, because I can't wait to hear this from you, because you've been through it.
Yeah.
You know?
One thing that has been really resonating with people that I talk about, that I don't hear many people talking about, is this mental freedom thing. What I would say is, if you're going to be a business owner, or if you're looking to even get to the next level in an existing business, is you got to get this mental freedom shit on lock. A lot of people that are out here promoting financial freedom and passive income, especially in the real estate space, you might have noticed. I've seen plenty of people, and I just explained an example where they've got it all, or it seems like they got it all, but they are just in a mental prison, man. So before you ever start thinking about financial freedom and passive income, I would start thinking about mental freedom. Make sure you know yourself first. Get in touch with your conscience, your intuition. And I would say this is some of the most easy, but might sound complex. It's like when you're making decisions or doing business with somebody, or thinking about doing business or making friendships with somebody, make it easy. It literally is just an energy and a feeling. You can tell if somebody just wants something from you, or if they actually care about you. If it feels off, it usually is. If it feels good, lean into that. Don't complicate it. Just simplify it to that. Your conscience to do the right thing will guide you 100%. So that's a little bit different than most business advice, but that has literally been a game changer for me and other people as well.
Man, I mean, it's a good start, though.
Yeah.
You know, like when you can get as complex as you want, but that's the beginning. Like, I love that, you know, find yourself, know yourself, you know, let go of all the other shackles, emotions, you know, perceptions of things. Like, I actually really, really, really like that.
I love that you like that, man.
You know,
it's not being talked about enough.
Yes, man. Everybody's got, you know, and for some people, when I explain things, they're like, you're being so vague and like so spiritual. I'm like, no, this is where it starts, though. You know, it starts within. It starts with where your head's at. Yes, you have to get into the specifics. That's. I mean, you can't forget that. But if you could get into that without this part, I could see you're going nowhere. You know, going in circles. You know,
Yeah.
finding empty. You know, filling empty holes that don't. You know, that do nothing for you.
Absolutely, man. You got to do that internal work, man. That's
I love
essentially what I'm trying to say.
I love it, man. Well, dude, this was awesome. And that's what I love about this. I got to know you.
Yeah.
We've run across. We're both very busy.
Yeah, this is the longest conversation we've had. I love it.
We would have never sat down and been able to have this kind of conversation. So I learned a lot about you, and I love everything about it, man. Great job.
Appreciate that, man.
Hey, guys, man, this was super cool. And I have a feeling we're going to have Mr. Ben John here again, because we have a lot in common, and he's got a lot of awesome info. You guys look him up. And on your social media, Benjamin, I know there's Martin, or what's your middle name?
Martin. Yeah.
Martin, yeah. Benjamin Martin John. That's what you are, I believe, on Instagram, correct?
No, on Instagram, it's Benjamin John MIC.
Okay,
So
I knew there was something else in there. Yeah.
That's my most frequent platform. I'm
Okay.
highly active on that. So if anybody's trying to reach out to me, go to the Instagram, Benjamin John MIC, and on
this
Facebook.
dude's, he answers immediately. I can't believe how fast. I know how much you do, and anytime, man, he's back at you immediately. That's impressive. I
Yeah,
can't
man.
do that. So impressive. So yeah, reach out. He'll definitely answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start doing some live streaming too. And so you could also go to my Facebook page, which is Ben's Massive Impact. And so between that and my YouTube channel, which is also The Misguided Mentor, I'm going to start getting really active and start connecting with people and having some dialogue and chats and all that. I love this stuff, man.
Yes, dude. And it shows, man. It shows. Hey, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will do this again, man. But I hope you come back next time I ask you, because this was great.
100%, man. Appreciate it.
All right, you guys. We'll see ya.